I scooped up my bag and headed downstairs to the dining room, seeing the boys already eating a delicious selection of food. The smell made my stomach growl wildly. At the sight of food, drew me to walk further into the room.
Good morning, miss. Did you sleep well?
No.
Nope.
Before I could lie, hiding the incident in the back of my mind, Damien, he can read minds! Oh no! Oh no, he can read minds! I mean, it's a good thing, but it's also a bad thing because she might kill her family. Oh no. Before I could lie, hiding the incident in the back of my mind, Damien furrowed his eyebrows and stopped eating.
She's here.
Oh.
Oh, they know!
The boys looked at Damien in confusion while I cursed his ability to silently in my mouth.
Damien, what's up with you? Of course she's here. She kinda owns the house.
Oh, sweetheart.
Damien looked to me, wanting me to explain for him. However, the threats that Diana gave me last night wanted me to keep my mouth shut. Do we sacrifice our family or avoid it? Damn it.
Look, Damien's already read our mind.
But she's gonna kill our family.
Technically, if we're not the one to say it...
But if we say Diana, are we thinking Diana? Damien pressed his lips together in a fine line. The other boys looked at me with a raised eyebrow.
A girl named Diana came by last night.
Diana? Is she important?
What?
Did she try to hurt you?
She's a succubus.
The single word made the boys stop and stare at me. I looked at each boy, unsure what was going through their minds. Should I have avoided it?
So, she's come to try and bring us back.
She must really be desperate.
Well, what should we do now?
Protect my family and friends?
Nothing. She'll give up eventually.
Will she?
The boys continued to look at me as if I knew the answer to that question. Damn it, Damien!
She said that if I told you, she'd make my life a living hell. She can't possibly do that, right? She's not a devil.
No, she isn't. However, she is a very powerful demon.
She's a master of mind manipulation and has been trained in illusion. Unlike other demons who use strength to get power, she uses her charisma.
She has the power to make armies bow to her and obey her every whim. That's why she's so obsessed with us.
That doesn't explain it.
What? What do you mean?
Well, she sorta has family ties to us. She was promised to marry one of us in exchange for more power.
I knew it, she's the fiancé.
She's just some whacked up hussy who doesn't know how to close her legs. She's not a
Whoa.
real threat.
Sam, excuse you. I think the first thing you did was come on to us, so you need to shut up and close your own legs.
Oh, really? I feel insulted.
Oh.
The boys and I looked around the room, wondering where the voice came from. I felt cold sweat run down the back of my neck in fear, remembering what kind of power she had. At last we saw Diana by the entrance of the kitchen, juggling a single red apple in her hand as she leaned against the archway in truly biblical fashion. The boys quickly surrounded me, glaring at the intruder.
So, you took up a human name as well.
Beautiful name, isn't it? Well, for a human name, anyway.
I find this so ironic because Diana was the Roman goddess of the moon and virginity.
I think that's a good reason why they chose the name then.
Yes, the irony.
What the hell do you want?
To bring you back, of course. However, you weren't supposed to know that I was coming. I completely forgot about that little mind-reading ability. My mistake.
Diana pushed off from the archway and walked towards us, making the boys step closer to me in a protective circle. Diana laughed.
My. What has the world come to? A group of demons protecting a human girl? I'll tell you right now, she's not that pretty. And from what I can tell, she's still a virgin.
So?
My face grew red in complete anger and embarrassment. How dare she?
This is not something to be ashamed of.
Oh, hell no!
Oh, hell no!
I stepped up, gently pushing the boys away to be face to face with Diana. I was furious and she was about to feel my wrath.
You are in my house. You are an intruder. You have no power here.
Oh, really? Do I have to remind you of the power I have, dear?
Shut up, David
I
Bowie.
had a full night's of sleep rest, okay? I'm good now.
Shut up, David Bowie.
With a snap of her fingers, my mind suddenly locked up and I felt blank. I could see the world around me, but I lost control of my body. The boys quickly reformed around me with James gripping onto Diana's wrist in anger.
You will leave this instant.
Or what? You'll kill me? I completely dare you to.
Let me do it. I could use the workout.
Don't.
The boys looked. Oh no. He's gonna marry her to save us. The boys looked at Damien while Diana smirked at my blank slate. I wanted to fight this hope, but her power held me down.
And why not?
She wants us to kill her. If she dies, then civil war starts in the demon world.
Very good, sweetie.
What happens in the demon world doesn't concern us anymore. We live here now.
The demons will come to the human world and hunt us down before attacking each other.
The demons will come to the human world? All because of her?
You sneaky bitch.
With another snap of Diana's fingers, I was released from her hold, almost buckling to my knees.
Well, will you all change your minds? I assure you, it's for the greater good.
I expected the boys to say no. What I heard was complete silence. None of the boys replied to Diana, which made me both nervous and fearful as to why. Diana leaned her head back a bit, surprised for a different reason.
No. Well, I see.
Was silence truly them saying no to her? I looked around at the boys and saw the disobedience in their eyes, giving me my answer. I felt my heart flutter, especially when my eyes landed on Damien. He kept close to me, glaring daggers into Diana. I could feel that he was completely adamant in his choice to stay. I don't know what, but I was incredibly happy to know he wanted to stay. Diana sighed and pressed a finger into her temple, rubbing it gently.
Either all of you are playing a very convincing hard-to-get game, or you all must be out of your minds.
Diana then looked at me, locking her gaze with mine as if to read me. I could tell she wanted me to do something, but the boys would stop her. So the stare was her only available action. After a small moment of silence, Diana licked her lip before breaking the gaze. Battle? Oh, the gaze battle, and smiling to the boys around me.
Very well. I guess I'll take my leave now.
She'll be back. I know she'll be back. What? Her leave? Was she serious? The boys stepped around me, straightened up, and grew confused looks on their faces as Diana stepped back with us, away from us with a small bow, flaunting her cleavage. Without another word, a deep purple pentagram appeared under her feet, and Diana's body slowly sank into the floor. As her head vanished into the floor, the pentagram vanished. At once the boys relaxed and began to return to their spots at the table, each in deep thought, because this war was not over yet.
She'll be back, but she won't kill us. She needs us alive.
She might kill me, though.
Whatever. We'll just keep saying no. She can't force us to come back.
She can't do anything but annoy us. Eventually she'll give up.
That's the hope anyway.
Hopefully.
But that means you have to have like 100% watch on me at all times. Forever. Damien walked over to me and stood before me, looking at me with concern.
We'll protect you. Don't worry.
I nodded, feeling he was telling the truth, or at least a hopeful and comforting thought. Damien gently took my hand in his and brought it up to kiss my knuckles, however, making me blush and forget what I was thinking about. The sound of collective chuckles and playful snickers whispered through the air, making me blush even more. But as Damien sighed and cleared his throat, the laughter stopped. I looked up to see he was glaring at his brothers with his lips on my hand.
That's silly.
He and I pulled away from each other just at the sound as Naomi's car appeared. I quickly ate my food, waved for the boys, and left, confident that nothing was going to happen. Never, ever say that nothing will happen before the day is over. I avoided talking about the ride back home yesterday, saying the ride was a one-time thing.
I'll be riding with you guys from now on to and from school.
The girls seemed very happy. We entered the school, quickly gathered our things from our lockers, and headed to class. There were no events, to our surprise. History wasn't exactly fun, but our teacher was great. At least he would have been great if he was in class that day. Substitute teacher? Substitute teacher Diana? Naomi and Suzu took their seats around me. Suzu in front of me, Naomi beside me, but the class bell rang and the class was greeted by the dean.
Students, you'll be having a substitute for class today. Everyone meet
Miss Diana.
I know it! She wears that to school!
Oh, shit!
My heart stopped. At the door, the dean was Diana, looking over at the students and smirked. Oh no, what if she convinces them to kill us?
Well, she walked in with her demon voice.
She strutted to the teacher's desk, ignoring or welcoming the whispers from the other students before sitting on the wood and crossing her legs.
Thank you, Dean. You can go now.
With a wave of Diana's hand, the dean left the classroom, closed the door, and left the area. Diana smiled at us, making my stomach turn. What was she going to do?
So, history. History. Such a silly thing, isn't it? I mean, what do we care about the past? We're in the present.
The rest of the class, including Naomi and Suzu, hesitantly nodded in agreement, unsure about what this new teacher, but was willing to listen to more of what she had to say.
The present is so full of wonderful things. While the labors of the past are the reason we have many things, it is our chance and privilege to utilize what has been given to us.
Her charm was almost infectious. The class was practically starting to eat out of her hand. I looked around to see classmates grinning and agreeing with Diana. I pressed my lips together as I listened further. I had no choice.
What's even funnier about human beings is that some of the bits of history we hear as either made up or completely biased to one side. It's like a story you read as a child.
Oh, so now we got her backstory?
That is true.
I mean, it's true, but now
You
we get
hear
her
of the
backstory.
princess and the prince, and they live happily ever after. But what about the family she left behind? What of her friends?
Okay, so this is the part
I'm
where she's
going
like...
to kill them.
The students listened and agreed intently to her words. I could tell, however, that these words were all targeted at me.
The original story of the Little Mermaid, a perfect example of biased opinion. Here we have a girl who thinks she can be with this prince, but this prince has to marry a princess.
I'm gonna kick you.
What would happen if the mermaid had her way? What makes the mermaid so important that the princess has to suffer the consequences?
My name
The
is
mermaid was a princess, too!
just a mermaid princess.
Matter.
The rest of the class turned their heads to me. Naomi and Suzu looked at me with equally surprised looks. I kept my eyes to Diana. If I was the mermaid, I wasn't gonna let the princess take my prince away. Diana stared at me before smiling and turned her body to fully face me.
Oh? And why does it not matter?
The story isn't about the princess. The story is about the mermaid and the prince.
Ah, but that is exactly my point. While the story talks about the mermaid and the prince's romance, we don't see the problems of the kingdom the prince rules. While we are all fixated with this love story, we ignore the fact the kingdom would fall apart without the marriage between the prince and princess.
She kept her eyes to me as she spoke. I knew she wanted to make her words stick in my mind, but I didn't listen. It was one thing to be a fictional story. It was another to try and ruin someone's life for selfishness, which is what she is claiming me of, but whatever. I get what I want. Diana chuckled and looked back to the class.
Well, luckily in the real story of the Little Mermaid, the mermaid knows that what she was doing was wrong, and she threw herself into the ocean, turning into sea foam.
Some of the students that surrounded me mumbled in surprise, obviously not knowing the real story. However, Diana was wrong once again.
That's not true.
Once again, the class looked at me and Diana faced me with another smile.
Not true. How so?
The trade-off for becoming human was marrying the prince or turning into sea foam. However, she was also given the choice to kill the prince and turn back into a mermaid. The mermaid didn't because she loved him and sacrificed herself for that love. That is a story worth telling. Not some princess getting her way, but of a tragedy that had befallen on a girl who only wanted to love.
The class applauded me with Suzu giving me her usual punch to my shoulder, and Naomi smiling at my logic. Diana, however, finally grew an almost angered face at me.
Interesting. So what you are saying is that the princess should be given no mind.
The story is not about the princess. The story is about the mermaid, and the mermaid should have gotten her prince.
Even at the risk of a kingdom falling apart?
Even if the entire world fell apart around them, duty does not overrule love, and the princess needs to realize this.
The applause that followed then intensified with whoops and hollers. I felt a wave of confidence roll through my body. Diana wasn't going to win. I wasn't going to let her, and I was going to use knowledge of fairy tales and logic. Diana then stopped talking and looked at the clock on the wall, reading it quickly. The class had barely begun. Why was she looking at the time? Diana then leaned against the blackboard and smiled to us. I became worried.
She's making sure that they're gone before she comes home from school.
You know what? School isn't important. Everyone, go ahead and head home. Take the week off.
The students suddenly began to chat happily or in confusion of the situation. Many thought it was a dream come true. Others knew better. Before anyone could protest, however, Diana pressed a finger to her lips and counted down with her fingers in the air. 3, 2, 1. The speakers of the classroom gently awoke, giving us an announcement we would never believe.
Attention students. Due to an emergency faculty meeting, we will be closing school for the remainder of the day and this entire week. Please leave the school quickly and quietly and have a good rest of the week.
An emergency faculty meeting that takes a week. She had used her powers on them. Damn it, I felt the need to stop her, but how could I stop a demon in the middle of a public area? Diana smiled before gesturing to the door.
Have a nice week off. School will resume next week.
Many of the students filed out, shouting to each other at the new impromptu plans. Suzu was beyond happy, but Naomi was hesitant. Before we could pack up and leave, however, Diana stepped to us.
Excuse me, little miss. I'd like you to stay a little while. There's something we need to discuss.
I will kick you. Oh no, they're gonna kill me. As Diana looked at Suzu and Naomi, she snapped her fingers, making my friends tense up.
You two can head home. Don't worry about your friend until next week, okay? If you contact her, she won't reply, so don't bother. If she contacts you, ignore her, because she's just fine.
As if on command, Suzu and Naomi left the room. I tried to march after them, but Diana stepped in my path, warning me with her eyes that if I followed, there would be hell to pay. I had lost my 2 friends, at least for the week. Diana and I were alone, just like she wanted. I slammed my hands on the desk in front of me and glared at Diana.
What are you doing, and what are you thinking?
What? Do I not make a good teacher? I figured you should have a little lesson, so I took matters into my own hands.
Whatever you're trying to do won't work.
You really think so, dear? And what makes you so sure about that?
What made me so sure? Why was I confident? Were the boys worth this? My thoughts began to fill with doubt. All the uncertainties about this whole ordeal began to cloud my mind. If the boys were ever found out, there'd be hell to pay. Was it worth it? What about Diana? What would she do to me? What would she make my parents forget about me completely? Would she ruin my friends' lives out of spite? In my gut, I felt a stone of confidence try to fight back, but the heaviness of my thoughts began to dissolve. That little stone, little by little. What was going on with me? I looked up to Diana once again to see her gaze boring into my eyes. She was using her powers on me. This time I was away from home, so I couldn't escape. Or could I? Did I want to? The way she stared at me made me feel warm and fuzzy inside my chest. I felt like melting. I'm gonna be sick. I'm gonna be sick. Diana lifted a hand under my chin and ran her thumb over my lips. Licking her own. This is where the trigger warning comes in. Officially this time. I could feel little shots of energy zipping from under my skin into my chin where she held me.
Now, let's have a little taste
Whoa.
of that sweet, virginal sexual energy.
Lady, you did
Don't
not,
make it weird.
you did not ask for consent, alright? I watched as she leaned in, ready to kiss me and take my energy. Half of my body felt elation at the idea. The other half completely rejected it and didn't want her to even touch me.
Damien!
His real name. Suddenly, Diana stopped in her tracks.
Damien? Who is...
It then dawned on her.
Ah, one of the boys. Why don't you tell me which boy is Damien?
I felt myself not in compliance.
The youngest!
Did I lie? I thought Matthew was the youngest.
Matthew is the youngest, right?
Diana giggled in reply before letting go of my face and stepping back.
Really? The bastard son with you?
Damien's the youngest? Is it just like Matthew's just like that kind of kid that just like looks really young but is actually older?
Like me?
Oh my god, she even called him the bastard son! I nodded once again, but this time it was partly my own decision to reply. Diana let out a sound that mimicked a cat's purr before stepping away from me.
Alright then. Well, if it's the youngest son you're infatuated with...
Diana chuckled before kissing my nose, where I felt a shot of energy zap out of my body, almost making me dizzy in recoil. Diana then turned to the desk and sat on the wood, crossing her legs.
You can go now. Remember, no class for the rest of the week.
She doesn't want Damien?
And how am I supposed to get home? My two friends left me here thanks to you.
Oh, were they your ride? My apologies. Let me help then.
Diana then lifted her hand and snapped her fingers. I suddenly felt the floor sink from underneath me, forcing me to look down. A purple pentagram surrounded my feet, pulling me into the ground. She is taking me to hell.
Whoa!
Before I could fight, however, I sank fully into the floor, fading into darkness and shutting my eyes. As I opened them, I felt my silk sheets around me, soothing my anxiety from the darkness that had previously surrounded me.
What the?
Why did Diana bring me home? Was this an illusion? Was I being tricked? Something was going on. I sat up in bed looking around me. I was indeed in my room. There was no mistake about that. Why?
Diana is too strange.
Was this a game? Was it part of her plan to get the boys back? I was lost and confused more than ever, despite my logical thought, trying to piece the puzzle that is Diana together. The more I tried to solve her, the less I understood about the situation I was in. I was interrupted, however, by my door suddenly opening, revealing the boys with Damien's hand on the doorknob.
Fuck.
Oh no.
Miss, what are you doing here?
Aren't you supposed to be in school?
I furrowed my eyebrows and stared at Damien, asking him to answer their questions through my thoughts.
Diana sent her back here. She invaded her school and sent all the students back home.
What is that bitch up to? Seriously, Diana's playing around for no reason.
Maybe it's part of her plan.
The boys continued to argue back and forth about Diana, fueling an almost jealous curiosity in me. Damien seemed to be too deep within the talking to notice my thoughts, for he didn't even stop talking alongside his brothers. Why was Diana after them? Why did she want to bring them back? What was so important about the boys that she would travel to the human world to get them? What was going on? I decided enough was enough. I needed answers.
Hey!
The boys stopped arguing, staring at me in surprise. I held my hands and fists on my lap, mustering the courage to continue to speak despite my abrupt shout.
Why is Diana here? Why does she want to bring you all back? What exactly did you all run from? Why did you run from it?
Miss,
Don't miss me. Please, I need to know what's going on. I won't be left in the dark about this. I want to know what I'm facing.
The boys looked at each other hesitantly, unsure of what to reply. Finally, Sam pushed Damien towards the bed, making him buckle and land on his knees with his torso over the edge of the mattress. I'm guessing it's Damien is the reason.
So, he's kneeling on the floor, leaning on the bed, is what I'm getting.
Okay.
Damien, do the thing.
Do the thing! Julie, do the thing!
The thing? What thing?
Sam, you're not suggesting.
Why not? She deserves to know everything, especially if Diana is targeting her.
Is he gonna like
Sam's right.
input memories into our head or something?
Can you do that?
I guess we have no choice then.
I was getting confused. What was Damien about to do? Damien stood before climbing onto the bed with me, sitting across from me on his knees.
We're going to show you everything. You have to trust me, okay? The minute you stop trusting me, the vision will stop.
Vision?
Just trust me.
I looked at Damien, unsure of what was going on, but I nodded. If this was the only way to learn, then this is my chance to know. Damien gently placed his hands on each side of my head, gently pressing his thumbs into the skin above my eyebrows, and I could only stare at Damien as his eyes began to glow gold, and energy began to be pulled out of me and forced into my head.